Hi, fifth grade. It's so wonderful to be your teacher again and to be back. I just wanted to make a couple of announcements. If you need any assistance with the lessons that I've been posting or that Mrs. Canales posted, please reach out to me. I can help you over email. I can pick up the phone and call you if you need that. We can also set up a Google Meet and I can help you virtually. So just reach out and we will find a way to connect. Another important announcement is that from now on in the second trimester and third trimester, lessons are going to be posted in the morning on your virtual Art Wednesday. So I will assign them on the Wednesday that the district schedules you to have art. Hopefully most of you will use your art time that week to complete the project so that you don't worry about it. And then about 4 weeks later is when it will be due, and that due date will be the next time I assign a new lesson for you. So please make sure you're keeping up with the lessons, because a lot of the last week has been talking to students about letting their work build up, and then once it builds up and you have a lot due at the end of the trimester, then that's a really daunting task. But if you keep up with it every time you have your Art Wednesday, it should be no problem. Please remember to try to upload your pictures to the classroom when you turn in your work. This is important because work has been getting misfiled, miscommunicated, and it's important to me that your work is organized. It's important to me that you have access to your artwork at all times, and that Dr. Valenti and Mr. Papa can also see your artwork. So please just try to upload it. If you have your artwork, take a picture of it with a device. It could be the device that you are watching me on right now, or it could be a phone, it could be a tablet. Take a picture of your artwork, save it to your device, and then upload that new file to where it says turn in your work. There's also a place where you can upload a file. If you're taking a picture on a device that you're not using on Google Classroom, then you will have to take the picture and somehow email it or transfer it to the new device and then upload it. I have 2 resources, a video and a slideshow, in the classroom stream that can also help you, and I can walk you through it virtually if you want to set up a Google Meet with me, and I'm happy to do it. This is a skill that you will need for your other classes this year, and you will need it in middle and high school as well. So you will need to know how to do this, and I'm really happy to help you. Otherwise, if you're really struggling, please just email it to me. Make sure you're emailing it to my email moving forward. Let me know if you need any help. I am here to help you. I am always available on Wednesdays to help by phone or video. I do answer emails every day. But the most important announcement is I want you to have fun. In 5th grade, I ask you to do things that you've never done before. I ask you to do things that might be a little bit hard. All I'm asking for you to do is to try, and I want you to try to make sure that you're smiling while you're doing it. If you're getting frustrated, then take a step back and maybe reach out or try it in a different way. You can get creative, come up with new creative solutions when you reach a problem. As long as you're meeting our lesson objectives and you're giving your best effort, I will be very happy. I'm also going to include rubrics on the Google Classroom assignment this year so you can easily see exactly how I will be grading you. Okay. So before we pause, I want you to pause the video in a moment, but not quite yet. I would like you, after you pause, to go and get your materials for this part of the project. And this is going to be this month, and we will add to it next month. So this will be 2 sessions. We're going to be working on the same project. Please do not lose it in the next month. Put it in your most special Save This Art spot where no one is going to take your artwork and throw it away or draw on it or send it into a different teacher. Make sure you guard your artwork, or you will find that you're going to be doing this assignment twice because you will have to add to it in a month. Okay, materials: paper, ruler, pencil. Okay. Once you have your paper and ruler and pencil, come on back and start the video again. Let's get started. Okay, so for this lesson, we are going to focus on 3 main concepts. The first concept that we're going to talk about is the element of line. And we know that line can be in different directions, and there can be many different types of line, and line can also show movement. But for this assignment, we're going to focus on the different directions that we can draw a line. We're also going to talk about the element of form, and a form is like a 3D figure or a 3D object. And finally, we will be focusing on the element of space, and we will be using line to create form and forms that take up space and line to create space. So they're all going to be interchangeable. Let's start with line. The type of line that we're going to focus on is actually linear perspective, which is essentially using line to create the illusion of depth. If you look at the picture, all of the lines are going deep into the picture, and they come together at one vanishing point on the horizon line. A horizon line is something that we started learning about in first grade. And it's where the land and the sky come together in the back of the picture. It's the farthest part that we can see. And on the horizon line exists a vanishing point, which is an invisible place where things get smaller and smaller until they appear to disappear. If we look at the picture, the lines from the buildings and from the utility poles and from the railroad track converge or come together until they appear to disappear at the vanishing point. In this painting by Vincent van Gogh, we can see that Van Gogh used linear, which is also known as one-point perspective, to create a realistic space. It's one-point perspective because there is one vanishing point which every line will converge at. The angles of all of the lines and the sides of the shapes in this picture are coming together at the vanishing point. The next element we're going to think about is form. And form is a three-dimensional shape that has height, depth, and width. It is not flat. Forms can be actual, so they can be actual objects, or they can be implied, like the pictures that we see here. They're flat pictures, but they really look three-dimensional. And simple forms that we can think about are cones, cubes, spheres, and pyramids. But there are so many more. Are all forms considered art? Next, I want to think about space. And space refers to the distance or the area around, above, below, or within things. If we look at this painting by Claude Monet, he has created a beautiful and believable space. Space can be two-dimensional or three-dimensional. This painting is a flat two-dimensional canvas, but it appears to create a deep three-dimensional space. Space can be created by using size, placement, positive and negative, and overlapping images. So the size of the person on the road is much smaller than a person really is. But because the person is so small, it creates the illusion that the person is deep into the space. The person is also high up on the paper, almost actually in the middle of the paper. He is not standing on a hill. The reason he is high up, and the reason why the mountain is even higher, is because as things get higher up on the paper, they appear to get further away from you. And things that are overlapping create the illusion of space. The person is standing in front of the mountain, but also the bushes to the right are in front of the mountain, and the mountain is behind everything, indicating that the mountain is the farthest away from us. How does space enhance artwork? Let's look at this amazing painting, The Ideal City by Urbino, which incredibly was painted in 1480. I can hardly believe that. In this painting, we can clearly see line and linear perspective. The buildings on the left and the right, the lines are going diagonally toward the center of the picture where there most likely is an invisible vanishing point. We see 3D forms. I see a cylinder in the center with a cone on top. I see cubes on the left and cubes on the right. I see a small cylinders in the foreground on the bottom left and the bottom right. And we also see a very believable deep space where things are close to us and things are far away from us. Things are in front, behind, and squished in between. Okay, so we are going to be making a picture of three-dimensional buildings. However, the buildings are going to be what we call a worm's eye view. So it will be almost as if we are like a worm on the ground looking up at all of these buildings. We will be using one-point perspective, so we will have one vanishing point, and all of the lines will be going an angle towards that vanishing point and actually coming together. So if you look closely, you can see where I didn't quite erase all of the lines. So let's get started. With your blank piece of paper, and it is important for you to have a ruler for this. If you need a ruler, let me know and I can leave one in the box outside of White Rock with your name on it, as long as you return it. Somewhere on your paper, try to go towards the center or slightly off. Put a point for the vanishing point. You don't want to draw too dark, although I will so that everyone can see, but you want to draw all of the things that you draw today very, very light. I like to say draw light until you get it right. We will be doing a lot of erasing. As you can see from my first drawing, a lot of stuff got erased, and I did draw some things light, but clearly I didn't draw some of them light enough so that when I tried to erase, it wasn't going to happen. When you draw today, you don't want to draw so hard that you're literally carving into the paper, because those lines will never go away. So try to draw light. You can always make them darker, and then next month we will be doing some coloring, and we're going to be enhancing them in different ways. So that will be the time for you to be making your lines really have a punch and really make a statement. Okay, so we have our dot in the center, our vanishing point, and we're going to draw, I would say, 10 or 12 lines coming out of the center. So I'm using my ruler and I'm drawing lines that are coming from the center diagonally all around the paper. So let's see how many I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'd say 4 to 6 more. So I have quite a lot of space. So I'm going to do 2, 3, 4, 5. You can add or erase lines as you need as we go along. Now these are extremely dark lines. Yours should be very, very light, barely able to see. So these are going to be the basis of our buildings. Now some of your buildings you might just want to have one flat side looking at you, and others you might want to see more than one side. If you can see more than one side, that is what makes it three-dimensional. You add that third D, right? So my ruler has width and it has height. Those are 2 dimensions. But once my ruler has depth, so it goes deep, then it has the 3rd dimension. So in order to make a flat building, or a building that doesn't really have that 3rd dimension, all I'm going to do is hold my ruler horizontal and just add the top of that building. And then I can erase the vanishing lines that are going on to the vanishing point. Okay, now let's move on to the next building. I am going to make this one look more 3D. So I am going to make the top of the building, I will make 2 diagonal lines that come together almost like an arrow. So it's like a corner. So it's the top, literally the top corner of my building. And then I'm going to erase the extra lines. Now try that. If that's really difficult, then I would say just go with straight lines across. But as you can see, this looks pretty cool, like the side of a building. All I'm going to do is continue in that way throughout my paper until I have all of my buildings drawn. So this one's a real wide building, and erase, and I'm going to keep going all throughout. So now I have these really interesting three-dimensional buildings, and if you are feeling like that is enough for today, then you can stop there, or let's push ourselves a little bit and add a couple of details in perspective, or maybe you will like to finish all of your details on the building. So you work at your pace. Give some of it a try before you move on. Next time we work on this, we will be doing more. So we're going to work on this big building down here. I'm going to put my pencil in my vanishing point, and I'm going to put my ruler against it. But essentially, we want to draw some lines, some vertical lines, vertical, but not actually vertical, along the angle of my vanishing point. So what do I mean by that? I'm going to take my pencil, put it in the vanishing point, and line up my ruler against. Now I am going to draw a line down, and then I'm going to slide it over and draw a line down. Okay. I am going to find a parallel line to the top of my building by sliding my ruler over from the top of the building and drawing the top. Now I went pretty fast for that only because it's so hard to explain when you're not actually looking at it. So let's talk about what I did there. I put my ruler, my pencil on the vanishing point with my ruler, and I drew a line down. So a line to kind of mirror this line, only they're clearly different angles. And then I put it over on the other side, on the left side of the building, and drew a line down. But for the top of that shape, I measured the angle of the top of my building and slid it over just a little bit to make the top of that shape. I can continue to do that if I want to, not changing the angle, to create more interesting details inside of that window, or I could have stopped right at that shape. Something important that you may notice as I'm drawing these lines is that they are getting farther apart as they get farther away from that vanishing point, and they're getting much closer as they get closer to the vanishing point. That is a key element to how to show the illusion of space in a two-dimensional paper or a two-dimensional image. So let's do it again on the other side. So let's do the same thing over here. Put your pencil on the vanishing point and just draw a line. So my ruler is touching the vanishing point. Just draw a line along here. Put my pencil back over there and move my ruler over towards the left side of that shape that I'm doing there. And now let's find the top and slide it over and make sure that this line is parallel to the original line. They never cross. So this is something that we talked about in 3rd grade and 4th grade. So hopefully parallel lines are something that's ringing a bell for you. But if not, just know that they are two lines that are the same angle and they will never cross. So my pencil and my ruler, if they're at the same angle, if they travel, they will never, ever, ever come together. Okay. And then I am going to find that parallel angle, and I'm going to add some of those cross lines in there. Now if you're not interested in doing this level of detail, that's completely fine. So I tried to show a lot of different ways to challenge up and some basic approaches to this, okay? So let's go to this building, my nice flat building, because I think some of us probably have a bunch of them. I have 2, and you can mix and match like I did as well. I'm going to put my ruler on the center dot, and I am going to draw lines, some vertical lines in my building that just go down. These are not parallel lines because you can see if I continue to draw them, the angle is such that they will come together, okay? And as you can see, the spaces are farther apart, further away from the horizon line. Now I'm going to line up my ruler to the top, find that parallel line, and I'm just going to draw crossing lines. But again, to create a really successful illusion of space, what I want to do is I want to make this space further apart as I get lower on my paper, as I get further away from that vanishing point. All right, pretty cool. And that was fairly simple. Okay. So we're going to keep going, adding different details throughout. You can look up buildings online, look up drawings of buildings to give you ideas, or come up with your own ideas. Okay, so as you can see, I'm pretty much finished. I have lots of different kinds of details in here, and I even have a building that does not have much detail, and that's completely fine. And if you look at the top, I even continued this line after I made the building just to give it a little bit more interest. And this side goes all the way to the vanishing point. This side does too. And then I made a new roof at the top. So you can have a lot of detail. You can have simple detail like these two. You can be more complicated, like adding lots of different sized windows, or you can leave your buildings fairly blank, and all of that is okay. That does not mean that you are not successful at creating 3D forms. This is a 3D form just the same as this one is. Using linear perspective, so lines are the correct angle going to the vanishing point, and I am using my ruler, okay? And we are creating a space where we are the worm looking up, the worm's eye view in this interesting, incredible deep space into a city. So like I said earlier, take a picture of your artwork, upload it to, save the picture and upload it to the classroom, please, if you can, and have fun. Make these cool and start thinking about what materials you might like to use to add color to these next time. We won't be coloring them today. Please do not submit them with color. We will have a whole lesson on how to color them next month. So have fun, use your ruler, and don't lose your work.